Hello, I'm Ashley Sellers, speech language pathologist and owner and operator of Speech, Language, and Beyond. Well, I'm coming to you today just to offer some very quick tips and strategies on what you can do to get your child to attend better. So when I use the word attend, that's just when you call their name. So for example, when I say my son's name, Ashton, I want him to stop and respond to his name being called, turn around and look at me and give me a second to say whatever it is that I want to say to him. So after I say his name and I get his attention, then I can move forward with what it is I'm wanting him to do. If I say, come here, or bring me your shoe, go get your cup, that he's stopping and he's looking at me long enough in order to process the information that I'm giving him and to respond appropriately. And I know that there are some parents out there who's having difficulty just with that simple task of calling your child's name, getting them to respond, and taking it a step further that when you try to talk to them or explain something to them or even participate in just a simple play activity where you kind of want some one-on-one time with them, that they just won't sit in place long enough for that to happen. The reason for this video is because a young lady by the name of Yvonne Ramirez, she made a comment under one of my previous videos that I had recently completed, where she was like, my son, I try things with him, but he won't sit still long enough for me to do anything. He throws everything that I try to give him, and I don't want you to panic because it is normal. Now, there may be some underlying reasons for why a child would react that way. One common reason may be because they may have received a diagnosis of autism, and attending decreased joint attention skills is one of the hallmark features of that disorder that leads to sometimes the decrease in their social skills, because first, in order for them to have a one-on-one with someone, they have to stop and be able to listen. It also could be that your child may have received a diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Now, there was a time when they would give that out a little bit younger, but they, through some of my research, I see now that they are really delaying the age in which they will provide this official diagnosis. And it may just be that your child is just really one of those children that may not have received any type of label at all, and they are just really, they have a lot of energy. They like to go from one activity to the next activity, and you just really want to find a way where you can just sit with them and make sure that they're learning the skills they need to learn. So I really don't want to make this a really long video, but I just had a thought about it, some things I've tried over the years, some new ideas that I've kind of researched and tweaked them to make them my own, that you probably could use to help rear your child towards them being able to be attentive. I'm not going to say that this is a surefire way that will definitely work for your child, but maybe you can take some of the things that I'm showing you and, tweak them according to who your child is, the environment that they're in, the things they have around them, in order to encourage them to be a little bit more attentive. So one thing that I thought of is using a booster seat. And I actually have one that I use with my son. Is not this one particularly. I actually bought this one for therapy because when I had him and I got his seat and I realized that I could put him in this seat to get his attention and to kind of start teaching some skills, I'm like, okay, well, let me try that with therapy. And I usually try and use this, and I'm not gonna lie, I have not used it much. But I have attempted to be able to use this with one of my children, with some of my kids that come through the door that have that difficulty with sitting down. Now, let me say, if you know your child is already one that you have to kind of follow behind and physically get them to do it, when you introduce this, it's really going to be one of those things that they have to get used to. So you may have to start in baby steps where you just get them to sit in the chair and you give them a snack and then they might get up. Okay, or you just may have to start in baby steps before you can build up. But this is one idea that you can use. What it does is that it kind of provides that restraint where if you're trying to put them in the seat, and you're trying to teach them something, this allows them to be locked in. You can be right here on their level. Let's just say a child was in here now, and if there was a skill that you wanted to teach, then you have that barrier to keep them there and to gain their attention. So that's one idea of something that you can use. And like I said, it may not work for every child, and you may really have to gradually get them into this process. And you want to do it in a way where you're making it fun. So one example you could do is take some shaving cream and put it here and just let them play in it and get messy, but you're keeping them in the seat and you're keeping their attention. You may have some finger paints that they can use and they can be really messy with and rub it on the top of this part of the booster seat. Just something simple so that they're seated and they're at least having a few minutes of just being calm, being in the seat, and then over time you can try to introduce different activities. Okay, now another thing that I thought that you could use is tracking. So let's just say you're using this chair and you've built them up to where they can actually sit in the chair for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Well, let's work on tracking objects. And what do I mean by that? So you might take something such as a block, and you get that block, you call their name, and you say, look, block. And you put the block way out here, but in their line of view, and you just have them track the block, and they can drop it in the box or you can put it on the booster seat. You can also try it with a ball. Ball. Look at the ball. Ball. And you're bringing it closer to them, and then you give it to them for them to manipulate some type of way. You can also do the same thing with the car. Car. Vroom, vroom. And making sure that they're following the car. And let's just say when you show it to them, they're very eager to touch it or something like that, or you may lose their attention. All you have to do is bring it closer to them. When they reach out for it, you bring it back out and you have them follow it back to the center as a way to being able to track an object to work on attending. So that's one idea. If you wanted to take tracking just a little bit further, then I have these little stacking cups, okay? And you can introduce the stacking cups the same way, cup, cup, okay? And then what you can do is present them with 2 cups and you show it cup, cup, cup. Have them follow your movement, cup, 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 and see and give it to them and see if they'll do it back and say cup, cup, cup. Because when a child can get to the point where they can imitate a motor movement, then that means that they're having, at that point, they have to attend to a certain extent to even see what you did, process it, and be able to copy it. So you can start with just, doing 2 things like this, doing some type of movement and seeing if they'll do it back to you. And you can take it a step further by having the block and you present them with the 2 cups. And you present them with the 2 cups and say, okay, cup and block. And they'll say, okay, where's the block? And see if they will find it and give it back. All right, where's the block? And that's another way to hide it, to switch it out, and to see if they can find it. That's a way of being able to also help them with attending. Okay. Now, to take it a step further, if you want them to attend, I found these 2 little containers at my local Dollar Tree. And I thought, okay, well, what if we use an activity where they get to insert something into these tubes and we talk about it as a way to get them to track and to attend. So what I did was I took like a little screwdriver and I just put a hole in the middle of it. So you present them with this, and you can either use beads or you can use a button and get them to track the object as they put it in. So for example, you would say, what do I have in my bag? Look, here is a button. Look at this button, the white button. Let's put it in. Look, the button is in. And then you let them, okay, do you want a button? And you track it to them again. You put it in their hand and you let them put the button in. Okay, and so all it's doing, you're getting their attention. Oh, look at this button. It's a gray button. It has 4 holes. Button, can we put it in. The button is in. Shake, 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 shake. And have them do that, okay? You can also do the same thing with the bead. Here is the bead. Look at the green bead and you want them to follow it. Here it is. You can put it in their hand and you can let them insert the bead into the jar. Bead can go in. In, okay? And then once you filled it up, then they can become little shakers. We'll shake, 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 shake. Let me see you do it. Let's do it again. Shake, 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 shake. Bang, 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 bang. And seeing if they can imitate that. And in order for them to do that, they have to be attending. So that's another idea that you can use. To take it a little bit further, full straws in a box. Okay, so here's the clear box. Here's our box. Look, let's open and close. Open and close. And then you open the box and say, oh, here's a straw. Let's put the straw in the box. But first, let's look at the straw. Stretchy straw. You can bend the straw. And you can try to see if they will do it. And then we'll put the straw. It's in the box. Here's another one. Here's a long green straw. Do you see the straw? Give it to them and let them put it in the box or in the jar. Here's another straw. Whee! Whee! Have them watch it. You can push it back in and see if you can have them do the same thing and they can put it in the box. And you can keep going and going. And as you can see, I have just a big bag of those straws they can use and it can go in the box. And then once they do it again, of course, shake, shake, shake. Or you can say, out! They're all out! Can you do that? Can you make the straws go out of the box? And let them put it in and the same thing. All of this is just to draw them in to get their attention. Okay? And you can also take that a step further. I have here this book, and I don't know if you've ever seen a book like this, okay? And so the way that it works is that, as you can see, they have Cheerios here, and then they have holes where you can put the Cheerios. So I'm going to use this as my holder so that you can see what I'm doing. We're going to hold this here like this, okay? And then we have the bag of Cheerios here that they can use. So you can open it up. Cheerio. Let's see. There's one here. And Cheerio. Do you see the Cheerio? Let's put it. Okay. So they have another one here. And they can just continue to use the Cheerio to fill in the different parts of the book. Okay, and it keeps going, and I think it's really cute. And that's the way just to get their attention. You can talk about the picture, and you give them the Cheerio, let them track it, and put it where it goes in the book. So there's another one. I'll show you one more page. And here's one here. And they show them what to do, and they can just fill in the Cheerios as they need to, and you just give it to them, Cheerio, and let them track it to the hole that it goes to in the book. And then as they go from one page to the next, you can allow them to eat it so that it's fun for them. Okay, and one more thing is, and of course now, it may take time for you to build up to each one of these activities. But the thing that you want to do is keep it nice and short. They don't have to go through the entire book. They don't have to put every straw in the bag in there. If they do it for 1 minute, one day, that's good. Build it up to 2 minutes the next day. Just keep trying until you find a way to build up their attention. You can fade the chair out, and then it can go from that to you being able to sit on the floor with them, back and forth. You make sure that between each exchange that you're doing with them, you call their name. Ashton, all right, here's another straw. Let's put the straw in. If they look off, use their name. Ashton. Use the object to bring them back to center. Ashton, look. Do you see it? And make sure you get them to attend to what it is that you're doing. But like I said, you may have to build up to that over time to get them to do it. One more thing that I thought was interesting that you could do is that I found these little foam stickers at my local Dollar Tree as well, and some jewels as well. And what you could do is you can take construction paper, or you can take a decorative piece of foam that's like a door hanger, such as this, and you can allow them to make an arts and craft project. So the way that you would do that is take some glue, and you can just put this glue all over the page. I'm trying to put as much on there as I can. I'll show it to you. Just gonna put it all over the page. A lot of it's not really coming out because I need to clean it, but something like this. So you sit it in front of them, and then you can give them, so we start with the jewels. You can say, oh, let's look. I have this beautiful butterfly. Do you see the butterfly? Butterfly, let's put it on the glue, and you just let them stick it on. Oh, here's another beautiful butterfly. Let's stick it here, okay, for them to create a project. And you could do the same thing with the door hanger, using the foam stickers, and you just stick them on. So like I said, you may have to build your way up to that. And then once you feel like you've gotten to the point where you can fade out the toys, the manipulatives, and you really, really, really have gotten them to the point that you want to stress to them how important it is for them to listen. This is a listening book, and it's very cute. And I will admit, I have not used this book as much in therapy as I should have, and I will use it for the first time in a long time with a particular client that I have in mind that I will be seeing on tomorrow. And it's really cute. It says, sit crisscross applesauce, hands on knees, please. And you want to do this in front of them. Put away the wiggles and put away the giggles. Listening works better when your body is calm and still. So you can get to the point that you can read this book to them about the importance of listening. And I love it because it rhymes. It has a flow that can stick with them. Phrases that they should be used to hearing if they're in daycare, or even if they're at home with you, because you're talking to them on their level. It says, shh, hush, hush, quiet, quiet. 2 eyes for looking, 2 ears for hearing. And you can have them do that back to you. 1 mouth for closing. And then it goes on to say, with a pretend key, zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. So you see how cute that is. So I won't go through the rest of it, but it continues like that with cute little phrases. And you want to introduce this book once you have gotten them to the point that they have made their way through certain things like this, and you really want to teach them the importance of listening. Because that's all attending helps them to do, is to listen so they can get the instructions that they need, to follow through on the verbal commands that you're giving them correctly, whether you're giving them something that they need to do with their bodies, an action they need to perform, or whether you're asking them a question and they need to provide you with the appropriate verbal response. So I really, really, really hope that you find this video useful